Well, good afternoon, friends. Welcome to Activist Collective. This would be episode 32 of our shitty little podcast. And the date today is October 9th. October 9th, it is Thursday. Shit just keeps rolling downhill on to the small people. That is for goddamn sure. Let me tell you something. No matter what this president, so-called president, I like to say, says, we are dealing with higher inflation. My grocery costs have skyrocketed. Gas prices are up. Energy costs are up. Nothing is going down. The tariffs that this country is collecting, the billions and billions of dollars in taxes this country is collecting, is not going to you and I. It's not going into my bank account. What about you? I'm sure there's a resounding no. Nothing is getting better for the people. So while the government rakes in all of this money to justify the axing of jobs, the axing of offices and places like USAID, to justify that, we look at how much we took in tariffs. That goes to the general fund. So like if the IRS owes you money, it would come out of the fund from the tariffs. It's like the government calls this fund the bank account. It's like the general fund bank account, and where all of the spending comes from. Nothing that this administration has done to this day so far has benefited any poor person in this country. If you are a poor person in this country, you have been double fucked. I think that's pretty plain to see at this point. There is a steady stream of protests last night in Chicago. Thousands of people took to the streets to protest the National Guard and ICE occupation of the streets of Chicago. Chicagoans did not fuck around. They did not fuck around. They got right to work out there protesting and doing everything in their power to let the rest of the world know that we do not approve of this. Something I think that needs to be said that's not getting said is whether any of this has an immediate effect on changing anything. What it is doing is it's showing people around the world what we stand for and what we don't stand for. The rest of the world continues to say things like, how do you let this happen? How does America let this happen? Well, I want you to understand right now, if you don't live in this country, that our military has been broken down to nothing and rebuilt in this fighter mentality. Look at Israel. Look at their IDF. Okay? Look at their IDF. Everybody in the IDF is there to kill Palestinians, and they don't care what it looks like to the rest of the world. They have been trained to believe that Palestinians are nothing but trash to them, and their job is to kill them, and nothing will stop them from doing that. And that's kind of how the U.S. military is. They are broken down to nothing and then rebuilt in the image of the army and the military of the U.S. government. So when we go out to protest, we're dealing with the mass majority of soldiers out there who are ready and willing to fight, and I don't think they care who they're fighting. I don't know. There may be some who disagree with me, but I have yet to see a whole lot of pushback. There's been some notable pushback, that's occurred, but nothing of any consequence. So they're coming to Portland. Dana Nessel, who is the Attorney General in Michigan, made a statement just yesterday. And she said, I want you guys in Michigan, I want you to be prepared. Donald Trump is going to eventually sic the National Guard on Detroit or places like Lansing. And she said she wants us to be prepared for that. She said that she is doing all that she can in her power to be prepared for that. But what does that look like for her? Like, she doesn't know what she has to fight back against yet. So she's just being prepared in her own way. I'm here to tell you, Detroit ain't like Chicago, friend. Detroit is, while Detroit has been labeled as some crime-ridden, gang-ridden, whatever, there are parts of Detroit, just like every major city, that are somewhat dangerous or, somewhat controlled by certain groups. But the majority of Detroit is hardworking individuals who love their city. Love their city. They've raised generations of families there, and they are there to fight for it. And that will happen. I'm just saying, if you're looking for a fight, if that's what this administration is looking for, I'm saying Detroit is probably where they'll find it. I hate to say that. I really do, because they are looking for that. They want us to fight. They want us to get violent, because if we get violent, then they are justified in their violence. Exponential, like, I know they're already being violent, but just compound that, because it's going to get much worse. So let's talk about what's going on in the news. So there is obviously some of the most notable news is this ceasefire plan that has been worked out. It is a 20-point plan broken down into 3 phases, okay? The first phase is hostage and prisoner exchange. Hamas is to release the remaining hostages, both living and deceased, in exchange for Israel's release of Palestinian prisoners. Initial reports indicate that the release would happen within 72 hours of the ceasefire taking effect. Initial withdrawal. Israeli forces will pull back to a pre-agreed line within 24 hours. That should have happened already, okay? Of the deal's approval, leaving approximately 53% of the Gaza Strip under military control. Increased aid, a surge of humanitarian assistance, including food and medical supplies, will be allowed into Gaza to address the humanitarian crisis. A pause in fighting, a temporary ceasefire, will take effect immediately with fighting suspended to facilitate the exchange of aid and delivery. That's phase 1. Within the last 24 hours, there have been trying to get 24, I think it was. Hold, please. Here it is. Within the last 24 hours, 49 people have been injured in Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip, and I think 3 people killed during this ceasefire. I want friends who may not be so brushed up on the history of Palestine and Israel in the Israeli conflict to understand that Israel has been nonstop killing Palestinians for decades. The IDF uses them just as target practice. In fact, people who live below the ground level have to put nets over their alleyways because the IDF throws trash on them. They treat them like cockroaches, and they hate them. Israel does. And if you get too close to the borderline between Israel and Palestine, the IDF will shoot you. One child was throwing rocks at the line, and they killed him. I think that's happened more than just once. Okay. So that's phase 1. Phase 2, which has not started yet, apparently is a permanent ceasefire. This stage would establish a lasting end to hostilities, a full Israeli withdrawal. All Israeli forces would complete their withdrawal from Gaza. Additional exchanges, any remaining living hostages would be exchanged for more Palestinian prisoners. But wait a minute. Let's go back up to phase 1. Phase 1, hostage and prisoner exchange. Hamas is to release the remaining hostages. Why would we have to, in phase 2, release any additional hostages if we're supposed to follow the rules and release all of the hostages. I'm sorry, I don't know. We've got dumbasses ruling this country and the world, I might add. Permanent ceasefire, full withdrawal, additional exchanges, and the last one was international force. An international stabilization force called the ISF would be mobilized to provide security and help support Palestinian policing. I don't know. I don't know. Let me see. What does this mean? ISF. The latest truce. I don't know what an ISF is, or who's going to create it. Is the ISF going to be the IDF? And if so, that should not work. That should not count. But I'm guessing that ISF will be manned by Israeli forces. I can almost guarantee that. The ISF, kiss my whole ass. Phase 3, this is the last phase. This is probably when Trump Tower will go up on the white sandy beaches of Gaza. Phase 3, reconstruction and buffer zone. Israeli forces would pull back to a designated security buffer zone. But see, now again, I thought in phase 2, it was a complete withdrawal of Israeli forces. Let me go back up to phase 2. Yes, phase 2, full Israeli withdrawal. And all Israeli forces would complete their withdrawal from Gaza. But in phase 3, they would pull back to a designated buffer zone. I don't understand how this works, friends, or how, I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to read the last one for you. The last two. Transitional governance. An international administrative body would supervise governance and a transitional period for rebuilding Gaza. And the last one is rehabilitation for Hamas members. Rehabilitation for Hamas members. Members of Hamas who commit to peaceful coexistence and decommission their weapons would be offered amnesty. There's a lot of contradiction in that, which leaves room, right, for IDF forces to not actually fully withdraw before phase 3 or phase 2. It leaves a lot of room for Hamas to not actually release all of the prisoners, because in phase 2, they give them an opportunity to release more. So what I'm saying here, friends, is nothing that is written down in this ceasefire 3-phase plan will work. Not because Palestinians won't abide by it, but because Israel will not abide by it. You see, they're already bombing people in Gaza. 49 injured during the first 24 hours. And that's how it's always been. So I'm not going to ever justify what happened on October 7th. I'm not going to do that. But I also fully believe that Benjamin Netanyahu had advance notice of what was going to happen, and he did nothing. And he did nothing because he was facing a criminal investigation for his taking gifts. He was facing criminal investigation and interrogations, and he was about to get booted from office when this happened. And he knew that if a war were to break out, that he could use this war to stay in office and perhaps gain support. Benjamin Netanyahu and his drunkard wife, and she is a drunk, they accept gifts of trunk loads of priceless champagne. They take trips. These two people are just, in fact, this documentary that I heard, they interviewed her friends, people closest to Bibi and his wife, and she demands these gifts. His drunkard wife is like demanding gifts from people. Anyway, so that's my take on it. He had advance notice of that attack, and he did nothing. He allowed that music festival to continue instead of canceling it and saying, hey, we heard an attack was coming. In fact, the United States government told him about this attack that was about to happen. So anyways, that's what I have for that. Let's move on. One more thing I forgot to mention about Benjamin Netanyahu and his cabinet. You've heard me mention it before if you've watched my videos. Benjamin Netanyahu has two people in his cabinet, Ben-Gvir and a guy by the last name of Stoltrich. I forget his first name. These two men are known, what they call them Israeli terrorists. They are violent. They have killed and attacked Palestinians. And 3 years ago, Benjamin Netanyahu would not even be in a picture with Ben-Gvir or Mr. Stoltrich. And now they serve on his cabinet. These are the things that you would expect out of Donald Trump, eh? Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Oh, and this just popped up on my screen. Jared Kushner, Ivanka's husband, right? These two have been absent from this administration. They have been nowhere to be found. I think they got spooked. But Steve Witkoff, who is the Middle East envoy for the Trump administration, just flew to Israel to be part of this cabinet meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And guess who he brought along? Jared motherfucking Kushner. Why is Jared Kushner in Israel with Steve Witkoff? I'm sure we'll find out more on that later. 12 minutes ago, Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social. I'm going to read it for you. Quote, tariffs are only good if you want your country to be rich, influential, and powerful. If you want your country to be a third world country, you should vote against tariffs. In the beginning of this, I talked to you about tariffs. If they make the country rich, fantastic. But if you continue to make the people in the country poor, it doesn't matter. You can have all the money in the country's bank account. You can have all the money in the country's bank account but if you're not helping the people, what good is that money doing anybody? You just keep taking and taking and taking from the poor. And the poor are squeezed. There's nothing more that we can get, that you can get out of us. And yet you keep taking. You can tariff all the countries you want in the world, Donald Trump, and you can rake in all the money you want in the world, Donald Trump, but when the people of this country become poor and despondent, their farms are lost, their factories are closing, their cities are shuttering up, and there's nothing left for us. Your tariffs don't mean jack shit. Do you hear what I'm telling you? These tariffs are hurting the people. They are ruining the relationships with other allied nations who we trade with, who are now looking to other countries to trade, to purchase. China was one of our largest purchasers of many things, and now they are not. Farmers across the country are looking to Donald Trump with their hands out for their socialist paycheck. Help me, Donald Trump. You ruined my crops. You ruined my sales. Now give me a bailout. And they're like, that's not socialist. The fuck it ain't. The motherfuck it isn't. Yes, it is. If Medicare is a socialist handout, if Social Security is a socialist handout, if free health insurance is a socialist handout, then bailing you out because you can't sell shit to other countries is a socialist handout. I got news for you, motherfuckers. And 15 minutes ago, Donald Trump just said to the FBI agents who were forced by Christopher Wray to go to the Capitol on the afternoon of January 6th and then risk their careers to blow the whistle about the political bias and abuses they witnessed, I want to thank you for your courage and assure you that you now work for a Director Kash Patel and an Attorney General Pam Bondi who are stamping out political bias from the they mean creating political bias. Holy shit, stamping out political bias from the Bureau and DOJ and making sure agents pursue criminals without regard to their political stripe, just the evidence. Bullshit. My God, the fucking lies that come out of this man's mouth. He could kiss my whole ass. Anyway, friends, what's happening in this country? I watched a video and it spoke to me. It was a man who studied dictatorships around the world. And he said, the United States isn't looking like 1930s Germany. 1930s Germany was looking like the United States. They got their ideas from our Jim Crow laws. They got their ideas on how to do things from the United States and how they were treating black people here in the 1930s. So we've always been this way. But it was the privileged people of this country who didn't realize it until it started affecting them. And that's true. That's true for me. That's true for many millions of Americans out there today. So we need to keep our heads on a swivel. We need to continue to push back against this fascist administration. Look, we've lived through Republican presidents before, and that's fine. They pass laws we don't agree with, and that's fine, but that's not what this is. This is a complete overhaul and restructuring of our government, aside from the constitutional laws that would prevent them from doing this. They are invading our streets using our military, which is a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, and he's doing so by basically just stating, oh, there's a massive crime outbreak in this area, so we need the military. And that's not true. Crime has been on a rapid decline. And for him to say this is outrageous. And when people started pulling up the statistics off our own government website proving that crime was on a decline, guess what they did? They got rid of the web page on the government website that showed crime was on the decline. When they were proving with government websites that far-right violence was far more commonplace than any violence from the left, they took that page down off of the government website too. This government is nothing but smoke and mirrors to the people in red hats. They just believe whatever is put in front of them by the people who they have entrusted with their fucking souls. Quite literally sold your souls to the devil for this administration. There is a group of people in this country to the tune of probably 150 to 200 million people in this country, man, woman, child, who are afraid for the freedom that they have once enjoyed. And the only people enjoying true freedom right now in this country, it's an illusion, but for them, it's true freedom, are white Christian men. They are enjoying every minute of watching marginalized groups suffer. They are enjoying watching trans people be victimized. They are enjoying watching this Antifa thing be labeled as terrorist. I've talked to you on my last podcast about Antifa, and I don't need to go over it again, but any person who says they are anti-Antifa, bitch, you are for fascism. You are for fascism, and there are countries you can go to who already have that in place. You can go to Russia, where you are not allowed to speak, where you are not allowed to own guns, where you are not allowed to protest, where if you speak up against the dictator, you will be jailed. We are well on our way to that. It's happening already, friends. And we need every American in the streets on October 18th, every single American who's fed up with this fascist dictatorship, to be in the streets. And a lot of people said, oh, I don't want to register on the 5051 No Kings website. I don't want, well, then make up a fake email address or something. Don't put your real name. But this is a good way of keeping a head count of how many people actually make it to the streets. So anyway, friends, I got to bus out of here. I don't have much time this week. But I want you to know that I love you. I see you. I hear you. I'm with you. We stand in this together as Americans. If a red hat crosses over to this side, you don't have to love them. You don't have to like them. You don't have to forgive them. But we need the bodies. We need the bodies. So pushing them away will do us no good. If the future of your children is to be in a free country, we need every single person available fighting with us. So please try not to push them away. I'm not saying you have to talk to them, interact with them, or nothing. You don't just ignore them. Let somebody else deal with them. But we cannot start pushing away people who have come to this side to say, I see what you were saying, and I'm sorry I didn't see it before. Okay? As much as I want to beat the brakes off of them, I really do. I have to hold back and realize that their fight is important with our fight. So anyway, everybody try to make it a good weekend. I love you to pieces. Keep your eyes on Gaza, and make sure you're finding community out there, because it is a lonely world for these anti-fascists. And please remember, as always, friends, donations are always welcome to our cause. You can get my digital pay apps off of my link trees on all of my socials. Also, at the end of this video, when the music plays, there are those little scanners to help you with Cash App and Venmo. If you wish to donate, you can subscribe to my Facebook, or you can subscribe to my Substack, where this platform is hosted. This podcast plays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and on here on Substack. Thank you for being with us today, and have a wonderful weekend.